Man, what's good? Sorry it's taking so long, y'all. Y'all see the lap, man, my hair kind of growing out on y'all, huh? It's all good. It's all good. Make sure, the balance is always good between the music and the voice. Y'all see the shirt, man, right? I mean, yeah, you got the dad on there, but it's best. You got that star right there, so. And yeah. Man. So like I said, man, I've been away for a little bit, but man, they got some stuff, man. We we might talk and address a little bit of this stuff. Where we're at currently is in the phase of off-season programs. You got training camp about to start here pretty soon. Date July 11th. You see, it's about to get ramped up here real quick, and I like it because, man, this speculation portion of just the NFL, man, you gotta, when I guess when you're a casual, you miss all this fun stuff, all this fun dialogue with us and fans, we. A lot of interesting talk, a lot of hyping. This is a hype season, and I get it. This is most notably the Cowboys' favorite time of season. But man, other people do the same stuff, man. So it's just one of them things. When they do it, it's cool. But today, man, we're here to talk about the Seahawks. I kind of give my thoughts and opinions on some other things briefly, but we're gonna cover the Seahawks. And the Seahawks have been they've been one of those teams that, I guess, a Cowboy fan, one thing that we really get tired of is other teams getting credit where the Cowboys don't get credit. So, but I mean, it's cool. It's nothing to really like whine about. I mean, it's kind of just the position we're in as fans, and we got to accept that. But the Seahawks have been getting shown a lot of love, and just as one of those teams that, the media will say that people are sleeping on, or la-da-da-da-da. But, man, let's run down them. I can say there's a lot of components to the Seahawks team that should be respected, but we'll get into it a little bit here, and we'll talk about it. Now, there's certain things that I may or may not know about the Seahawks. I mean, I've been trying to look at them, but when I look up the news on them, it's kind of the same stuff. Real enamored with the wide receivers. A lot of talk about Geno Smith repeating the performance. But their defense has some real upside to it, some real good upside to it, and we'll talk about that. So, starting out with Geno Smith, he had a real good year last year, especially for Geno standards, but by any quarterback standards, over 4,000 yards throwing, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Overall, I mean, the Seahawks went 9-8. In my personal opinion, in that San Francisco game, 41-23 playoff loss, they look, I don't know, Geno just looked very, he didn't finish too bad stat-wise, 250, 2 touchdowns, an interception, but, I mean, you had Brock Purdy throwing over 300 yards on you, so, man, it's more of the defense on the Seahawks, giving up 41 points, but, I don't know, it just didn't look good. It didn't look good against a good defense. But overall, I can't sit up here and say that, like, I'm not gonna doubt Geno, but he's just not one of those quarterbacks that, like, really, when you're looking at your team about to go up against the next team, Geno Smith is not that guy that you feel like he's gonna be the guy that beats you. He doesn't really strike that fear. So it'll be interesting to see what Geno can do moving forward. Like I said, I didn't really watch a lot of him. It's just at the end of the year, you look up Seahawks are in playoff contention. You kind of thought last year was just going to be kind of a tanking season for the Seahawks, but it really wasn't. So, Geno has a lot of reason to get credit for that. Running backs, Seahawks are pretty deep at running back, and I know the Cowboys, we've been looking for that second running back, so that might be a team once preseason cuts come. They currently have 4 running backs on their depth chart, Kenneth Walker being that starter. And then they got Zach Charbonnet and McIntosh from the draft. So they have a real good running back room. One of the best rooms probably in the league. Kenneth Walker over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. And what's interesting about that, man, as I cover and I hear about Kenneth Walker, man, a lot of high praise going to him. And I mean, for a guy who did virtually the same thing Tony Pollard did, I feel like, Pollard got his praise, so I can't really complain too much. But it's just funny when guys put up certain numbers on other teams. It can be the same numbers your guys put up, and these guys are elite, and your guys are something to complain about. But it's cool. Like I said, it's just Cowboy fandom. But quarterback room, running back room. I think Kenneth Walker and Tony Pollard to me are basically the same tier of running back. I haven't really watched Kenneth Walker, honestly, but just with that production, and I know the production Pollard put up, I would have to see if Kenneth Walker has that same that same home run threat about him. But Pollard, man, and I get it. There's a lot of running back rooms that have depth, and I know the Cowboys' biggest question, but as far as depth with the running back, but I say like a receiver like the running back. Not a receiver, a position like the running back. You have. It's a position where it's something that people don't really value as much, so we got to keep that same kind of mold and mentality, right? Like if we're going to off season with the Cowboys, running back really should not be a concern for anyone, unless they just want to make it a concern, unless they need the Cowboys to have a concern. But I don't think running back should really be too big of a concern, just because of how you can get production for your offense elsewhere. I just feel like, man, you just need a couple guys that are gonna gas your team up. And these running backs are kind of always falling out of nowhere, right? Kenneth Walker, when was he drafted? Because that will give you kind of a good overview, an idea. Some of these guys about, let's make bio. Yeah, so drafted round 2. So you can get you some guys, man. And I don't know. I don't know if Charbonnet was the best pick for the Seahawks right there, but it'll be a nice room if that running back room comes out. Can support Geno, but moving into, they got tight end Noah Fant, and one thing I learned about the Seahawks tight ends is that you can't really judge the ability of those tight ends based off of production and stats, because they use all their guys. So I wouldn't look at stats with the Seahawks tight ends and be like, oh well, we don't have to worry about them because this guy only had 300 yards and this guy only had. I wouldn't look at that. That's a case where stats can lie sometimes. So I would respect their tight end room. Noah Fant, Will Disley, Kobe Parkinson, all these guys respectively put up numbers, decent numbers for it to be a 3-headed room. So The Seahawks tight ends are something. They have ability. It's just that not one of them are featured. So I respect their tight end room. Amazing wide receiver room. The top three: Metcalf, Lockett, and Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. I mean, if they Geno Smith, if I don't necessarily just cut Geno Smith and not give him credit for what he did last year, but just one of those you got to see it again kind of thing. But I mean, mentioning those wide receivers' name, I don't need to go too much in depth. So far, Seattle, if you're being honest, you probably would take their wide receiver room over yours if you're being absolutely objective about it. But I don't think our wide receiver room is that out of place to where it would give them just a clear heads up roster to roster. But quarterback wise, I like our running back. I like our QB. And I'm sure they like their running back. So that running back might be a wash. Wide receivers, in my opinion, are a wash. Tight ends. Ability-wise, you might have some more names that are a little more recognizable on the Seahawks. But, tight end room, it'll work itself out. Again, going into the season, I can't really hype up our tight end room just because of what we haven't seen. But I've seen them. So we'll just leave it at that. Offensive linemen, I know they're looking forward to their tackles. I think they were hyped up pretty big. Cross, Abraham Lucas, round 3 pick, also a rookie. So young offensive line. Charles Cross is obviously going to lead that unit. You got Evan Brown. Seems like maybe a fourth-year guy. Damian Lewis, Phil Haynes. I'd give the nod to our offensive line just based off of, from what I know, a lot of these guys I really haven't heard of. I know Charles Cross did, from what I hear, a pretty good job last year. So I think they're starting to address that offensive line. I know Seattle kind of struggled with their offensive line in those Russell Wilson days. So I think their offensive line is on the come up. Overall, I like our offensive line better, though. You got Charles Cross, we got Zach Martin. Zach Martin kind of negates a lot of people. So, I give a nod to their O-line, but our O-line. But that, So overall, I like our O-line and quarterback. I think we have a clear advantage offensively when it comes to that. But they have good skill position. Wide receiver, running backs, tight ends. With the tight end, it's just a lot of production that comes out of that room. We'll move over to their defense. Draymond Jones, I think, is the guy that pops out the most from Denver. I'm just kind of look at his stats. 6.5 sacks. I think he's more of a run stopper kind of guy. I could be wrong, but was a guy I think Denver really hated to see leave. But they did re-up and get Draymond Jones. And by adding him and Bobby Wagner, I think that instantly improved their front seven. I know, I want to say run defense was maybe a struggle for them. I know pass defense wise, they were pretty good. So they're trying to, I think, improve that front seven. Let me check on. I really wanted Bobby Wagner. For every, he's old and this and that. If you look at linebacker list, he still kind of ranks on that top 10. Maybe it was just a fit. I'm beginning to think that, you know, Dan Quinn really likes just his linebackers to have the ability to cover. But I think Wagner would have been a huge upgrade over what we have at linebacker. But I don't think we ever getting Bobby Wagner, y'all. So we just kind of killed that dream, right? Defensively, see, against the pass, they ranked 10th. And last year against the run, the Seahawks ranked 30th. So yeah, man, they're trying to improve that front seven for sure. They're trying to improve that front seven. Draymond Jones and Bobby Wagner are going to be huge additions. Jaron Reed is a guy that also pops out to me. Big DT. So they've invested to try to fix that run defense, because I mean, that if you think about the Niners game, the playoff game, that's what Niners do very well. So if I went back and looked at it, I'm pretty sure that's part of how they got beat. But that's their front seven. Draymond Jones and Bobby Wagner are two of the bigger names. I don't know how they feel about their linebackers. I don't know if they have like a clear pass rush specialist. Nwasu. Okay, Nwasu has like 9.5 sacks. Maybe like a rush linebacker. He's listed as a linebacker, but I'm pretty sure he rushes. So, I mean, you got some serviceable guys. Boye Mafe, Derek Hall, I think is a rookie they drafted in the 2nd round. But, and you know, we get excited about rookies, but every team kind of picks a rookie up. So you can't ever put too much stock into like the fortune of your franchise based off of certain guys you draft in the 2nd and 3rd round. So they got Jared Reed in the they have a real good secondary. They probably have a top 5 secondary in the league, just starters. Devin Witherspoon, Tariq Woolen. I think they're going to make an incredible young tandem. I mean, you can put those two cornerbacks against any cornerbacks in the league, and in any duo, whether it's our duo. I mean, we don't really have a clear-cut advantage at cornerback for sure. Of course, I'm going to take our guys all day, but I can't make a strong argument that our guys are just head and shoulders better than their cornerbacks. Tariq Woolen, I think he was a rookie last year, but did super well. They just got Devin Witherspoon, first cornerback taken out of the draft. Let's see if Jamal Adams can come back from health, and Quandre Diggs, also another good safety. So they do have a good secondary. I don't know much about Mike Jackson, which I'm curious. Nah, that's a different one. All right, but yeah. So super impressed with their secondary. That's really all I can give y'all. I know they got Julian Love from the Giants. He'll be a good pickup. Jarek Reed. They have some good young depth in their safety room. But defensively, I just think our pass rush, defensive line is just that much more dominant than the Seahawks. Our secondary is very comparable to theirs. So, I mean, just as much. I think their secondary could give you some problems, but I think the Seahawks, more of a strategy is just to run against that team, wear them down, and take advantage of them in the end. I think defensively, you can be challenged by the Seahawks skill players, but I think our defensive line can take full advantage of their offensive line, knock Geno off his mark a little bit, not let him get comfortable. And if you make a quarterback like Geno feel uncomfortable enough, I need you to get him to start making mistakes. Seahawks last year, the Rams were pretty down. Cardinals were down. Niners, I mean, that's a division game. I think they took one from the Niners. So, overall, roster to roster, like I said, our pathway, I think, to beating the Seahawks is to take advantage of their D-line. Trenches. Take advantage of their D-line, take advantage of their O-line, right? Make their O-line kind of a little intimidated by you. Charles Cross and Micah Parsons, that's going to be a good matchup. But roster to roster, I just feel we're stronger in our front line, offensively and defensively. I feel like you have the better quarterback. And yeah, front seven, O-line, and quarterback. That gives you a clear advantage, and that should be your path to trying to beat the Seahawks. But they have some, they can make an afternoon interesting for you. So Seahawks are going to be more than formidable, I think, this year. I think a lot of people want to take this team as a team to kind of to go back, but I mean, I think their division has gotten weaker. I don't know who their opponents are this year, but I don't need to look it up. It don't matter. But head-to-head, matchup to matchup, I think we match up roster-wise real well against the Seahawks. I'll take our front seven. I'll take our O-line. I'll take our quarterback. Everything else to me, we can call it a wash. And as many units as they do have that are comparable to the Cowboys, I don't really think you can argue that they have units better than ours. You know, I think the Cowboys, I mean, if you have a good safety room, good linebackers, or the Philadelphia Eagles O-line, I think that's the only way you're going to really just, when you compare other rosters, I think that's the only way you can really say that this roster has his head and shoulders are better than the Cowboys. So, kind of brings me into my next point, man. I was looking at PFF yesterday. I've been looking at a lot of just different content creators within our division, and they're making videos about just the rosters and how their rosters stack up against ours. And it's a lot of, I mean, just depending on who you watch. Like, I mean, you watch me, obviously, a Cowboys guy. So, obviously, I'm probably going to think that a lot of ours is just better. And it's just holding true for everybody else. And certain things you look at and it's like, nah, that's clear homerism. I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, like I said, we'll see. It's interesting. I was watching, I think, PFF. They had a little show going on yesterday morning, two of their guys. And they're talking about the top 10. They were doing a redraft, right? And they just basically took all the players in the NFL. And they had like this random generator where it will pick the teams randomly. So pick 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And they were redrafting the NFL, kind of like a fantasy draft. And in the top 10, of course, 8 quarterbacks went, and 2 non-quarterbacks went in the top 10. 7 quarterbacks went in ahead of Dak. So if you think about it, number 8 at pick 10, Dak Prescott came in. Right before him, pick 9 was Micah Parsons. So only 2 people that were drafted in the top 10 that were outside of a quarterback were Micah and Justin Jefferson. All right. So with that being said, I mean, and I get it. We can talk about Dak, but to say that he's the 10th, according to this one particular draft, right? And it could work out different for, you know, whoever does it. But according to this person, Dak is the 10th. I didn't say the 10th best player in the NFL, but the 10th most valuable, right? Because if you draft Dak, and if we say he's the 8th best quarterback, they had him, of course, behind the big 3. And they had him behind Jalen, Lamar, what's your boy? Herbert. And I think Rodgers or Lawrence. Maybe Trevor Lawrence. One of them. But those 7 guys, and then they had Dak 8, which, I mean, I'll take it. It's respectable, I guess. But to say that, you know, before you get premium pass rushers and premium cornerbacks, wide receivers still on the board, that those guys will take Dak at 10. I mean, as much as, you know, people want to tell us to trade them and we need to move off of them, I mean, that's the 10th most valuable person in the NFL that people are constantly telling us that we need to move past, move forward from. So I don't know how you would, I don't know why, and what reason, logically, why would you give up the 10th most, the 10th biggest asset in the league? I mean, of course, pound for pound, there are tackles that you would consider better than Dak at what they do. There are wide receivers, there's defensive tackles, there's DNs, there's cornerbacks, there's safeties that you will respect more than Dak. But if you're starting a team, if you want to win with your team, and we know that certain positions are going to put you in place to win more than other positions, right? Like Dak can have a bigger impact on a game than Chris Jones from the Kansas City Chiefs can, right? And then we know, I mean, Chris Jones is he's a blue chip at what he does, but the position of quarterback is just that much more important. So, look, I get it. He might not be in the top 5 conversation ever, but he's too valuable. He's too valuable. And if you have that type of value, you got 2 guys on your team. I think they're the only team who actually had 2 top 10 players. So if you have those type of guys, you got to build around it. You got to build around it. You got to put those other pieces, and you got to see what you can do with this. But yeah, that's about all I had today, y'all. Want to run through those Seahawks. They've gotten better. Like I said, they've improved that front 7. The Jackson Smith pick was big, so we'll see if they can flip that too. Not the strongest of a division this year, and I know that NFC West has traditionally always been, you know, one of the better divisions this past decade, but they're going through a slump, and let's see if Geno's gonna kind of rise out, or, you know, that Cinderella story will kind of come to an end, so to say. But that's all I got today, y'all. Next video, we'll cover the next team. I should probably have these teams known by now, but man, we'll get a haircut soon. We'll probably get a little closer to once school starts, because make a little more sense, right? I'm not, you know, haircuts got expensive. I try to do, like, I don't know, go a month and a half, 2 months. I just gotta, you know, I just learned how to do what I do with the shag, so it's all good, y'all. I appreciate y'all, though. I mean, if you watching me, if you subscribe to me, I super appreciate you. If there's something you find in the archives, cool. Hopefully I've grown by then. But I don't know. Comment, give me thoughts. Any Seahawks fans passing through, let me know who I might have missed. Do I sound incredibly stupid for my assessment, or I don't know. But y'all let me know. Man, we'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be good.